Welcome, everybody, to the
Recording in
March
progress.
20th, 2023 regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Would everybody please join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka.
Here.
Alderwoman Tice.
Here.
Alderwoman Sims.
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Here.
Alderwoman O'Neill. 5 members present.
Thank you. Next up is the approval or amendment of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Any objection to approving the same by acclamation? Seeing none, it will be so approved. Thank you. Let's move down to announcement, appointments, recognitions, and proclamations. There is one item, and we have a vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission. And a Brentwood resident has reached out to me and has indicated a desire to serve the city on the P&Z Commission. Brian Nolan, he's an attorney, specializes, I believe, in real estate law, and his volunteer interest form is in your docket or documents. So it looks like he's well qualified to serve on that and brings another perspective to P&Z that I think is missing right now. So with that, I would like to appoint Brian Nolan. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And we'll be reaching out to Mr. Nolan. Tell him thank you. Next up is citizen comments. Anybody in the public care to address the board? Now is the time to do so. You will be given up to 3 minutes. Anybody online? Okay. We'll move down to mayor and alderman reports. First up is the mayor. I just have a quick matter. At the last meeting, I think it was, we talked about efforts at what's going on down in Jefferson City, and specifically what I was focused in on is sales tax issue and attempts to exempt the sale of food from sales tax. I'm happy to report that what we were hearing lately is that we're fine, essentially. The legislature's not interested in moving forward with that the rest of this legislative session. I'm told that even if it gets out of the Senate, the House is not interested in taking that up. So it looks like we're good to go. Next up, Alderman Plufka.
Thank you. Public Safety meets in this room on Wednesday at 5:30. Oh, 6?
5:30.
5:30. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Alderwoman Tice.
No report.
Alderwoman Sims.
No report.
I'm going to look at my list. Alderman Lockmuller.
Yes, just a reminder that our ward meeting is not Tuesday, the 28th, but we moved it to Wednesday, the 29th at 6:30 at the Rec Center.
And Alderwoman O'Neill. No report. And no, we haven't had a mass exodus of our aldermen. You can tell it's spring break season. That's why we're missing 3 of our 8. So that makes it go a little bit faster through the reports. City Administrator report is next up. Brentwood Bound update.
Good evening. Craig Schlitter with Navigate Building Solutions. I'll be providing the Brentwood Bound update. Starting with construction costs, $931,940.97 was spent on construction costs since the last Board of Aldermen meeting. Going on to soft costs, $28,392.45 was spent on legal, design, utility, surveying, and material testing fees. Going down to the categories of funding, the city received the final reimbursement for the MSD CSO Mary Avenue project. So those amounts have been updated to reflect the latest check. Great Rivers Greenway completed their reimbursement for the GRG Connector Part A project. So that amount has been realized on the right-hand side. And that concludes my update.
Great. Any questions for Craig? Not? Thank you so much. Next up is, that's it on the City Administrator report, right? Okay, next up is the consent agenda. We have 5 items. Are there any requests to remove any of those items or any questions about any of those? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We had a motion by Alderwoman O'Neill, seconded by Alderwoman Sims. Any discussion? Okay, roll call?
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you. Next up is old business. That's, and we have resolution number 1431. Is anyone presenting on this?
Dan.
Dan?
Okay, I'll try to keep this fairly brief. I know some were in the Public Works Committee when we discussed this. This is for the Leewin Trail. If you recall last year, the rains back in July caused the trail to fail. When we were looking at solutions, we were going with design build. To figure out which of the three contractors we were going to pick, we put together a bid form, and the bid form was strictly for, it didn't have any design in it. We were looking at an erosion control mat. We thought we could get by with that. Long story short, after we actually did design, the mat won't work because the slope's too severe, and the toe, the bottom of the slope has pushed out more towards the center line of the creek. So after meeting with Corps of Engineers, MSD, they want that toe to push back over. The solution that Castle came up with was to put in a scour lock, which is basically like a big gravity block. And because we're moving over, it gets taller. Originally, we were looking at 2 tiers, now it's 3. So the cost has gone up to the roughly $541,000 for just construction. So when we looked at erosion mat again, it's too severe of a slope, it won't work. If you put it in, it's probably gonna fail shortly thereafter. So this is a pretty significant cost, but we think it'll fix those 3 areas that have failed and kind of bolster the rest of it. It'll get you a new trail from the bridge going north. The decorative fence that also got wiped out with debris, that'll be repaired. And then the wing wall will be backfilled. That's kind of undermined a little bit too.
In the 541,000, that's, excuse me, that's just the construction cost, the new construction estimate?
Correct. Yeah, there's still design fees, which I put
Okay.
in this memo, and then some incidentals. I know there's going to be some material testing that we'll just have to pay for. We're getting a proposal for that.
And we are making an application to FEMA to reimburse?
I believe we have, and Eric, you want to provide an update? Hush Blackwell is assisting us in, I'll stop.
So where we're at with FEMA right now is that project has been submitted, and there's actually 2 sections of Leewin Trail, areas 1 through 3, which is what Dan's talking about, area 4, which is closer to the dog park. So areas 1 through 3, we're working on submitting that to FEMA. They're looking at those right now. Area 4 is going to be the questionable one because there's just a sheer drop, and that's going to be the tough one for FEMA to figure out along with us. So the first set has been submitted to FEMA. We're just waiting to hear back if they accept it. It's my thought that they will because it is what has happened. Some of their questions I have is the fact that we're not putting it back exactly the way it was damaged. We're not putting back dirt. We're putting the scour lock system, but we have to because that is what MSD and the Corps are requiring because it's just going to fail again. So that's where we're at.
And the percentage we're looking at is recovery of
75 from FEMA, 10% from SEMA, so that would leave the city 15%.
of that construction cost?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I have the ability to add math like an attorney. So in terms of for the cost that would, because this didn't go before Ways and Means, where would we find that money? Or, I mean, I know 15%, whatever that is. I mean, I feel like where would we?
Where we always find the money, fund balance.
So, I mean, I guess, does anyone, maybe specific to that, since this is the first time hearing about the cost,
No,
so.
initially we took it to Ways and Means at the initial cost, and that was the recommendation then. But since then, the cost has gone up, so there's an additional cost. In terms of timing, we could take it to Ways and Means, but because we have a limited scope of time for them to get the work started, because we've been told that we have to start removing the trees because there are bats, environmental issues in there. So we didn't have the luxury to take it to Ways and Means, but we could call a special meeting if Ways and Means wants to discuss it more.
I just, since this is, I think, I'm not necessarily suggesting that because we're here now, meeting as the Board of Aldermen, but I thought it was important to call attention to the fact that that aspect of the project
Right.
didn't go through committee. So,
The other thing, if I can add, is that I think in Ways and Means, a few months ago, we talked about like the FEMA tracking spreadsheet. And so we've received funding from Chubb already. And so that money's sitting in fund balance right now. And we've kind of tracking things that we've already spent. So the big expenditures so far have been Oak Tree Park playground surface, and then the ball field fence at the Brentwood Sports Complex. So we do still have funding from Chubb. Now, FEMA will deduct whatever we receive from Chubb as part of their reimbursement, but we're also talking everything we've asked for FEMA. So we've received about $80,000 from FEMA. Part of that was because of the operations of police and fire the day of the flooding. The other is the cleanup for public works and parks. So we continue to track, I continue to track all the money coming in from all areas and then money going out. So right now, we have the funding in it to complete that 15%. Secondarily, some of the stuff that we are going to get reimbursement for, especially on the park side, we replaced last year already within our operational budget. So that's already been paid. So when we get that money reimbursed, that will be able to go to fund balance for things such as this to cover the overage of that 15%.
To your initial comment, you're right, absolutely right.
and I just, to borrow from Alderman Weggie, chainsaw math, if I said $600,000, 15% is 90 grand. So if you say we've got, that we can proceed with our existing fund balance, I just wanted to vet that out a little more.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Did we have a motion to approve, Kelly? No. Can we get a motion to approve resolution number 1431, please?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Luckmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Motion carries by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Brings us down to bill number, under new business, bill number 6453. Can we get a first reading by title only, please, Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 6453, first reading, an ordinance adopting new processing, permitting, inspection, and similar fees for development and construction activities in the city of Brentwood, Missouri.
Thank you. Whitney?
Good evening. The fees that are currently established within the Table A were originally adopted almost 10 years ago, so we felt it was important to start looking at the new fees or adjusting those with comparator cities. Currently at $6 per 1,000 square foot of per $1,000 of a project, we are at the lower third end of our comparator cities. If we move up to 7, we would be in the middle upper end. Therefore, we're recommending moving to $7 per 1,000. We are also including penalty fees for any building permit that is started without an actual permit, or building construction started without an actual permit. And we've added fees for Architectural Review Board and Zoning Board to be consistent throughout all of those to recoup some of the city's funds. So this did go to the Public Works Committee and the Ways and Means Committee. The Ways and Means referred it back to the Public Works because we are in continuing discussion on text amendments for stormwaters. But we wanted to move forward with these to allow enough time to notice the public. They wouldn't go into effect until July 1st. So.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Nothing? All right. Well, we'll take this up at the April 3rd meeting. Okay. Thanks, Whitney.
Well, that was in the memo, but he just wanted to remind everyone we did make some changes into the occupancy inspections. Currently, we only charge $45 for once they come in for the actual permit after the inspection, the new resident. So we're moving that to $45 for the actual inspection fee and $25 for the permit for any new resident. So I wanted to make that clear as well.
Okay, thanks, David. Okay. Wow. Feel like we should be doing something else. It's only 7:15. So I beg and plead somebody, because we're down to citizen comments, somebody please come up to the podium and address the board so we can get at least 15 minutes in this meeting. Anybody in the public care to address the board? Once again, now is your time to do so. You'll be given up to 3 minutes.
I would like to introduce new associates from Curtis Hines, Garrett O'Keefe. Would you all like to step up to the podium and introduce yourself?
Are we being charged for this?
That remains to be seen what you ask them.
Hi, I'm Valerie DeWandle, and I'm a fairly new associate.
Kyle Cronin, I'm a brand new associate. I started last Monday.
Kyle and Valerie? Okay, law schools, where'd you go? Where'd you come from?
SLU Law School, and I'm from here in St. Louis.
Which law school? SLU?
SLU.
SLU? Are
St.
familiar with
Louis
that?
University.
SLEW, I think it is, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I went to the same, but I'm from Georgia originally.
All right. Well, welcome to a wonderful law firm. Hopefully we'll see you two. Rather see you than Kevin at any point in time. All right, well, thank you so much.
That's fair.
Anybody else care to address the board? If not, we have no need for a closed session, seeing that we did that earlier. So the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.